All right. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the fourth and final presentation from Opera Theater of St. Louis. We are so very fortunate to have Phyllis Hyken with us tonight to talk with us about La Voix Humaine by Francis Poulenc. Just wanted to let you know, if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat during the presentation, and also mute yourselves so that we can all view this presentation without any distractions. And then if we do have any questions, we'll have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. So without any further ado, Phyllis, it was so nice for you to join us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. I am very happy to be here. And I'm going to talk tonight, as Lindsay said, La Voix Humaine, the human voice, composed by Francis Poulenc, and the libretto by Jean Cocteau.
The screen where it just gave me the countdown. Okay, great. So then when I'm finished, I would hit.
Hello, I am Phyllis Hyken, docent for Opera Theater St. Louis, and I'm here to welcome you to this presentation, La Voix Humaine, the Human Voice, an opera by the French composer Francis Poulenc. There is much to talk about and explain in this 45-minute one-woman opera, so here's the sequence of events. First, we'll talk about the French composer, Francis Poulenc. Then we'll meet the librettist, Jean Cocteau, followed by a little introduction to the first soprano who sang the part of Elle or Madame. However, neither of these names is used in the opera, but you got to call her something. You will then see various excerpts from the opera. Finally, we'll see a short excerpt by Patricia Rosset, mezzo-soprano, speaking about the difficulties of singing this opera. And by the way, she will be singing the role in the Opera Theater coming performance. Here is Francis Poulenc, born 1899, died 1963. He was one of France's leading modern composers, noted for his lyricism and his gifts for expressing both profundity and lighthearted wit. His mother exposed him to the piano at an early age, but his father insisted on a general education. Therefore, he did not attend the conservatoire. His uncle exposed him to the French Opera Comique, where he heard Stravinsky. His parents died in 1915 and 1917, when he was 16 and 18. Through a friend, he was exposed to the literary and intellectual milieu. From 1914 to 1917, he was taught by Ricardo Vignez, who introduced him to Debussy, again Stravinsky, Eric Satie. He also met Darius Milhaud at the time. He was the leading composer of a French group called The Six, which was devoted to turning music away from impressionism, formality, and intellectualism. His music was direct and witty, often juxtaposing witty and ironic with sentimentalism and melancholy perfection of melody. His style was wide-ranging, including it was diatonic, that it was tonal, it had amazing textures, and the combining of wit, elegance, and emotional depth. He composed many chamber works and music for voices, including 3 operas, Les Mamelles de Tiresias, this was an opera buffa in 1947, The Breasts of Teresa, Les Dialogues de Carmelite, this was in 1957, and this was very much a serious opera, and then La Voix Humaine in 1959. He was known for his melodies, operas, choral pieces, piano works, and ballets. To back up a little bit, at age 18, he became an overnight sensation with his Rhapsody Negra, for baritone and chamber ensemble, including piano. He dedicated this piece to Satie. The instruments for this piece are piano, string quartet, flute, and clarinet. Supposedly, the words were from a poem by an African poet. However, there are those that think that he made up the poem, which supposedly was written by a Liberian poet. It definitely has a foreign feel to it. It's pentatonic, that's based on a 5-tone scale. Simple, repetitive, exciting. You will hear parts of movement 2 and 3, the ronde and the Honolulu. The baritone sings only in the repetitive, almost monotonous third movement. And you can see the music too. What happened? Sorry. Oh, that's okay. I'm sorry. Something cut off, but you get the picture. I'm frankly not sure what the fuss was about, but it was a big hit. Another early work that he composed in 1918 is a sonata for piano, 4 hands, which I have played with my duet partner. And of course, I love this piece. My partner and I actually performed it for the Missouri Music Teachers State Convention sometime in the 80s. Here it is performed by the duo Mephisto. You'll hear the last part of the first movement in this strong rhythmic pattern. And then the second movement is a wonderful contrast with a very gentle, simple melody as the pianists seem to take a walk together. Here is the last part of the first movement and most of the second movement. Here is Jean Cocteau, who lived from 1889 to 1963. Notice he and Poulenc died in the same year. So Cocteau was a French poet, playwright, novelist, designer, filmmaker, visual artist, and critic. His work of the 1930s included La Voix Humaine, which was originally a stage play featuring the telephone and the disruption the phone caller had to endure in that time period. The personal pain Cocteau may have felt at that time could have been due to the death of his father and also his lover. In 1947, Cocteau made a film version of the play with Roberto Rossellini directing and starring Anna Magnani. Finally, in 1958, Poulenc considered making the play/film into an opera. Cocteau was multi-talented and eccentric. He insisted on calling himself a poet, in spite of the fact that he also created books, film, art, and plays. He had a very solitary childhood. He had two siblings who were much older. His father, George, committed suicide when he was 10, and Cocteau was then enrolled in a private school where he was expelled for his frequent absences. He was then homeschooled. Finally, he moved with his mother to Paris and enjoyed the exposure to literary salons. His early poetry reflected an idealization of the past, fear of death, and deep sadness. In 1914, he tried to enlist, but was rejected because of a weak constitution. Not sure what that means. He did drive an ambulance during World War I. He became an opium addict and entered a clinic in 1928, but never stopped using opium. He obviously had a desire to escape reality. Here is an example of Cocteau's art. This is a caricature that he drew to illustrate La Voix Humaine. Poulenc and Cocteau met in 1917 and became good friends until their deaths in 1963. Cocteau actually wrote the original play in answer to actors' complaints that his work did not allow them to display their talents. Here is Denise Duval with Poulenc. She lived from 1921 to 2016. She was a French soprano and muse to Francis Poulenc. She was best known for the roles she created in Poulenc's operas. She was very interested in acting also, and her father allowed her to enroll in theater classes. It was an instructor there that got her into vocal classes. She made her debut as the heroine in Cavalleria Rusticana at the Theatre de Bordeaux in 1942 at the age of 21. She starred in productions at the Paris Opera and the Opera Comique over a 20-year period that ended with her retirement in the mid-1960s at the age of 44, which was really young for an opera singer. But she admitted that she preferred acting over singing, and she actually only recently died in 2016. She was the epitome of Parisian elegance. Likewise, her soprano voice was characteristic of the qualities many associate with the French style of singing. That is, a general fragility, precise intonation, and a noticeable lack of vibrato. To say that the French composer Francis Poulenc had an emotionally intimate, if strictly platonic, relationship with Denise Duval would not be an understatement, would not be an overstatement. What am I saying? They were very fond of each other. Poulenc first met Duval not at the Opera House, but at the Folies Bergère nightclub, where she performed in the closed review when she first arrived in Paris. Immediately, I was struck by her bright voice, her beauty, her chic, and especially her hearty laughter. Poulenc would say later, instantly, I knew that she would be the perfect interpreter of my music. And that's how their relationship began. Poulenc composed La Voix Humaine, this operatic monologue for Denise Duval, who is featured in the title role in the premiere. The US premiere was in 1960, also featuring Denise Duval, staging and scenery by Jean Cocteau, author of the libretto. The Human Voice is a monodrama first staged at the Comédie Française in 1930. That is as a play. It had been written 2 years earlier by Cocteau. It is set in Paris, where a still young woman is on the phone with her lover of the last 5 years. He is to marry another woman the next day, which causes her to despair. The absence of the partner's responses provides an opportunity for dramatic freedom to create any dynamic that Madame chooses. The colloquial and informal libretto makes her seem relatable, allowing for a realistic portrayal of human emotion. Her suffering is honest and convincing. In a way, the telephone is a main character. A woman is left by her lover, whom she tries to win back in a phone conversation. She is frequently interrupted by phone glitches caused by the telephone system of the 1930s. This opera is only 45 minutes long. There are 780 bars in the opera. 186 of those were written for voice alone, which in my mathematics, I figured out that's about 25% of the opera is for voice alone. The orchestration is also very transparent so that the voice is uncovered. The melodic curve seems to match all the emotions tearing apart the heroine: love, hate, brutal despair, regret. There is total ambiguity, although Poulenc was not known for that, but it gives a feeling of unrest. That is, you can't really tell what key the piece is in. It expresses the pain of the heroine and the discomfort. The chords, especially at the beginning, feel more like clusters of notes. The orchestra, or it could be accompanied by the piano alone, amplifies the dramatic intensity of the singing. Poulenc uses recurrent motifs for emotional unity. In the excerpt we are about to see, we're going to view Denise Duval, the original Elle, singing as we follow along with the English libretto. We start from the very beginning of the opera. You can hear the orchestral overture as it sets the stage with its repeated tense, angular motifs depicting tension and an anxious, wild flight of emotions. Finally, we hear the ring of the telephone as depicted on the xylophone. Then Madame, or Elle, as she is called, has to deal immediately with the technical glitches of the telephone of the 1930s. You may notice that when Elle is most agitated, she doesn't sing, but rather the accompaniment expresses her anxiety.
Allô? Mais non, madame, nous sommes plusieurs sur la ligne. Raccrochez. Vous êtes avec une abonnée. Mais madame, raccrochez vous-même. Allô, mademoiselle? Mais non, ce n'est pas le docteur Schmidt. 08, pas 07. Allô? C'est ridicule. On me demande. Je ne sais pas. Allô? Mais madame, que voulez-vous que j'y fasse? Comment ma faute? Pas du tout. Allô, mademoiselle? Dites à cette dame de se retirer. Allô? C'est toi? Oui, très bien. C'était un vrai supplice de t'entendre à travers tout ce monde. Oui. Oui. Non, c'est une chance. Je rentre il y a 10 minutes. Tu n'avais pas encore appelé. Oh, non, non. J'ai dîné dehors, chez Marthe. Il doit être 11h15. Tu es chez toi. Alors regarde la pendule électrique. C'est ce que je pensais. Oui, oui. Mon chéri, hier soir, je me suis couchée tout de suite. Et comme je ne pouvais pas m'endormir, j'ai pris un comprimé. Non, un seul, un nouveau. J'avais un peu mal à la tête, mais je me suis secouée. Marthe est venue, elle a déjeuné avec moi. J'ai fait des courses, je suis rentrée à la maison. J'ai... Quoi? Très forte. J'ai...
So that was Denise Duval singing. And the next excerpt also has her singing. This is from about halfway through the opera, where she expresses her sadness and depression. She goes out to wander underneath his windows while he begs her not to be foolish. She can't sleep, she can't eat. She takes a bunch of sleeping pills. She's telling him every detail from the night before. But when she sings Last Night, Ir soir, the music becomes lyrical and flowing and waltz time. You can hear this beautiful melody. Notice when she sings the high note, it's an A flat on the word mort, meaning death. She's saying she wants to die. And then shortly afterwards, the excerpt ends on a high G with the word vivre, live. So she's somewhat conflicted in her emotions. This excerpt is from 1960, so it's old and it's a little bit fuzzy, but it has Poulenc at the piano with Duval singing in French, but there are English subtitles. And it's first introduced by a very knowledgeable announcer who's obviously seen.
Quand je vous ai vu, avec tant d'autres, créer cet hiver la voix humaine sur la scène de l'opéra comique, j'ai pensé que c'était probablement un des rôles les plus follement tendus et qui exige le plus de dépenses de la part d'une interprète.
Oui, ça je dois dire.
C'est effrayant, n'est-ce pas? Quand le rideau se lève, qu'est-ce qu'on voit? On voit une chambre qui est absolument nue, qui est vide, ou plutôt s'il y a un être qui est là, presque gisant, c'est vous.
Oui.
Vous êtes seul. Votre ami, votre amant vous a quitté et vous avez un téléphone que pendant 40 minutes, vous ne quitterez pas. Vous l'avez à l'oreille, il vous téléphone pour la dernière fois. Et vous avez ce raffinement qui consiste à ne pas vous plaindre, à ne pas protester, à ne pas crier. Vous n'êtes que douceur et consentement, mais vous êtes totalement déchiré. Sur la scène, pendant 40 minutes, il n'y a qu'un être immobile qui souffre, qui soupire, il n'y a que de la solitude et de la souffrance.
Tu as raison, si je t'écoute, je serai folle, je répondrai à tout, je te jure. Ici, je n'ai rien mangé, je ne pouvais pas, j'étais très malade. Hier soir, j'ai voulu prendre un comprimé pour dormir. Je me suis dit que si j'en prenais plus, je dormirais mieux. Et que si je les prenais tous, je dormirais en rêve, sans réveil. Je serais j'en ai avalé 12 dans de l'eau chaude, comme une masse, et j'ai un rêve. J'ai rêvé ce qui est, je me suis réveillée toute contente, parce que c'était un rêve. Et quand j'ai su que c'était vrai, j'étais folle, et je n'avais pas la tête sur tout. J'ai senti que je ne pourrais légère et froide, et je ne sentais plus mon cœur battre, et la mort était longue à venir, et comme j'avais une angoisse épouvantable, au bout d'une heure, j'ai téléphoné à force. Je n'avais pas le courage de mourir seule.
This third excerpt from the opera is sung by Nelly Miricu, a Romanian soprano living in Britain. But this performance actually took place in Rotterdam, January 28th, 2009. Incidentally, there are many recordings of this opera on YouTube, and I invite you to take a look at them at your leisure. However, there were only a few with English subtitles. Also on YouTube, you can see a performance by our own Patricia Rosette singing the opera in French. In this excerpt, you see the heroine at the front of the stage with the orchestra directly behind her. Behind and above the orchestra is a screen where we see scenes from Paris and perhaps Marseille, showing the places that Madame sings about. This director has opened up the story and notice that she is not holding a telephone the whole time. This excerpt is nearly at the end of this 45-minute opera. The heroine seems to have almost decided that the only solution for her is suicide, or maybe not. Really, we don't know. It is a calmer section, more lyrical. She is lamenting time gone by and that she is no longer young. Again, she seems calmer. She sings in a more legato style, more thoughtful. She tells him, I love you, je t'aime. I wanted to show you this excerpt because it is entirely different from the other two that you heard. So here is Nelly.
Il faudrait que nous vivions comme dans la chambre. Oh mon chéri, Je voudrais, enfin, j'aimerais.
Now here you have Patricia Racette, born in 1965. She will be the heroine in La Voix. She has been affiliated with opera theater for several years as artistic director of the Young Artist programs. She has been heralded as a preeminent singing actress of our time. She has built and sustained an evolving career in the most acclaimed opera houses and concert stages of the world over for over 30 years, and continues to not only sustain her passion for this art form, but also to expand it to broader arenas as both stage director and master teacher. She has sung many major roles such as Madame Butterfly, Tosca, Salome, and others, and also headlined on the Met Live in HD series. She originated the role of Emmeline in Tobias Picker's opera by the same name. You may remember Opera Theater presented that opera in 2015. In 2018, she was stage director for La Traviata here at Opera Theater. And then this season, she takes the role of a heroine in La Voix Humaine. You may see this opera in French on YouTube with piano accompaniment from 2014, featuring Patricia Racette. That performance is from the Opera Comédie de Montpellier in southern France. So of course the opera is sung in French. Here in St. Louis, it will be sung in English, as all our operas are sung in English. And finally, I want you to hear Patricia Racette talking about the difficulties of singing this role.
Well, I'm very excited to see a dialed phone again. Brings me back to my youth. Well, the story for me is one of a deep, passionate relationship. And it's about how our heads and our hearts are not always in the same place. And that we may understand we agreed to break it off and let's do this like civil people, but if your heart is completely torn apart, you may not make always the best choices. So we were really seeing a woman trying to hold it together, but really unraveling. It's watching really heartbreak in motion. The fascinating thing about doing this piece, and it's truly a one-woman show plus phone, at least half of the story is completely unheard by the audience. So it has to be conveyed through various physical nuance and vocal colors. So it really is something that has to be completely driven by the performing artist. What Andreas and I discovered was that I had to become an actress with one usable arm because this one was occupied holding the phone. It's interesting how limiting that can be, but it's a metaphor of sorts. She is tied down. She is laden. She is sort of maimed in a certain sense that she can't use part of her being. Well, it's not seen very much, is it? The La Voix Humaine does not enjoy as many performances. And I think because every single person I would imagine would bring a very unique take on the story, on the piece, on this person, on this human situation. We like to see our stories before us. It's cathartic for an audience member too. We want to feel that. And I think that's what's important and beautiful about the arts. I'm going to hang up now.
That completes my presentation. I know you will enjoy Opera Theater's performance of this opera. But now for a few other items about Opera Theater. First, you will find a shortened version of Pirates of Penzance on the Opera Theater website, done by our young singers. Part of our Opera on the Go series, now done virtually. This opera has reached thousands of students. Furthermore, Andrew Jorgensen, Executive Director of Opera Theater St. Louis, has announced with great enthusiasm the confirmed season for this spring, which will be performed entirely outdoors, safely social distanced, and on a newly constructed outdoor stage. The program will consist of Johnny Schicchi by Puccini, a comic masterpiece of legal hijinks and family dysfunction. Then there will be La Voix that I've just spoken about, featuring Patricia Rosset. And next is our New Works Bold Voices Lab. Experience the future of opera with a suite of 3 world premieres by contemporary composers. And next, Highway 1 USA, a long neglected treasure from the Dean of African American Composers, William Grant Still. Also, our young singers will be featured in our center stage concert on June 19th. Each opera will be given 4 times, and I have heard that Johnny Schicchi is going to be given another time. Plus, we'll have center stage, this concert featuring the Jardine Young Artists. At another concert on June 15th, in cooperation with the Missouri History Museum for Juneteenth. I'm told that many performances are sold out and that they are adding additional performances. So call right away for tickets to these very exciting and unique, ingenious programs. And now, if anybody has any questions, I will be glad to try to answer them. And thank you, Lindsay, for all your help too.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Phyllis. This has been wonderful. How cinematic. It definitely has also a noir sort of feel to it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely does.
I have one question to start out with. Does that sketch, the sketch that you showed us,
Yes.
has both characters in it? Has the woman and also the phone? Is that correct?
It looks like it to me. Yes, I would
Like
agree.
a phone to me.
Yes, definitely. Just a few lines, but it certainly tells the picture, shows the picture.
My goodness. Also, I really enjoyed the term heartbreak in motion, and bringing both the head and the heart to a devastating problem.
I think,
And
yes, Patricia expressed it so well and succinctly, really. Too. I'm glad you liked that.
oh boy, for sure. And is it very much a one-woman show?
It's absolutely a one-woman show.
Absolutely. Okay.
From what I have heard, it will be done with piano accompaniment. So
Wow.
it's her on the phone and the piano. So that should be pretty intense. Should be pretty intense.
My goodness. Have you seen this performance over and over again, Phyllis?
I've seen a lot of YouTube, and I also have a video of it with English subtitles. I know a little French, and I tried to practice so I wouldn't pronounce things terribly incorrectly. But I don't think I could get the whole thing in French. So I was looking for the English subtitles, and also for programs like this.
How has the opera been received by critics over the years?
You know, that's a great question. I have no idea. I'll have to go find that. I do know that there were 3 dissertations written about this opera. And one of them talks about using today's technology and updating it with the cell phone and having her actually almost strangle herself with the cord, you know, the charging cord.
Do it with a cell phone.
Yeah. So, you know, and
wow,
there's been a lot of it. I mean, I was shocked. I found them online, you know, 3 dissertations. So a lot of people are interested in it. It must be, you know, yeah, a unique opera, probably. Nothing like it.
Are there any other single actor operas that come to your mind?
Not that I know. That doesn't mean that they're not there, but I don't know about that. I mean, there are a lot of short operas.
One-person shows. Wow.
Right. A lot of pressure.
Hey, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Please come and see it.
I expect to.
Is there anything else? Anybody else?
Huh.
This is it. Okay.
Oh, well, question about the tents on the lawn. Will there be a snack bar?
I am told that you have to pre-order. There won't be a snack bar. I'm not sure if, I think they may be selling drinks, but I know you can bring your own food.
Yep.
Or you can order. I know that much.
Yes, I think that's right.
Yes, Ingrid, okay. But other than that, snack bar, I don't think so.
Wow. I have to thank Lindsay and Patrick because they sent out a reminder earlier this afternoon, and I picked it up at, I opened up that reminder at 6:51 this evening. So I'm so glad that you're trying to take care of us, Lindsay and Patrick.
Yes, that's right.
How fortuitous that you got it at the right time.
Oh gosh, oh golly, oh, psyched me up for the season. She is. I've had to miss my the first 3 presentations, but I missed them because mainly because I'm a brand new grandpa. About 10 days ago, my daughter had her first baby,
Oh,
and she and her wife have been so engulfed in the experience over the last month. It's been terrific, and so have I been engulfed with the experience.
so she's here in the city with you.
Oh yeah, they live in the Cherokee neighborhood, and Lindsay, Patrick, I'll get some pictures out to you guys so that you can show them off.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hey.
Congratulations.
And Arlo, I'd like to share with you that Arlo, for already the brand new granddaughter, Arlo has had her first library card for at least 4 or 5 months now. And her first book that she received was 10 Little Fingers and 10 Little Toes.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you. I love our library. I love our librarians. They're terrific.
Thank you so much. This has been a delightful series, and everybody, if you haven't, if you just tuned in tonight and you'd like to catch up on the other 3 presentations that we've had, you can go to our Facebook page and check out those videos as well. They live on our Facebook page. So this has been just a delightful series, and I thank you and Ingrid and Diane for all of your time that you've given to us and all of your expertise.
Our pleasure. I'm sure it's Ingrid's pleasure too.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it very much. Very much. It's very enlightening too. It's very moving.
Absolutely.
Moving. Yeah.
Well, everybody, definitely please go check out the Opera Theater of St. Louis and have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.